Make sure you pick up my 2 books that's in Amazon right now. The first one is Passive-Aggressive Racism and the System of White Supremacy. And I talk about in that particular book how the system of white supremacy really runs and on our daily lives here in America. In our latest book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, we go through those steps to try to deprogram you from the system of white supremacy. Make sure you can pick up those books on Amazon.com.
Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. As you come in, beloved, be sure to come in giving us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. We ask that you do that so that other folks will know that we're here, and it tends to send out notifications for others. And so that's so important for us to get our voice out. Yes. And for that, we say thank you so very much, family. Now, certainly, hopefully by now, some of you at least have seen some of our ongoing coverage of the Nation of Islam fighting back against the libelous, slanderous, and false allegations and claims made by FBI experts on Fox News recently. Of course, we talked about the fact that, unfortunately, on New Year's Day, there was a terrorist attack that they said was ISIS inspired. Of course, this took place in New Orleans. And then we learned also of the one in Vegas. Yes. Well, just a day after January 2nd, on my 46th birthday, by the way, that was my birthday. I had to throw that in there, y'all. Still celebrating. But on the next day, one day later, Fox News brought on a so-called FBI expert who specifically blamed, said that one of his FBI investigatory sources told him that a Nation of Islam Muslim was involved, that this man that they said that is responsible for the attack was trained by the Nation of Islam. He's a Nation of Islam Muslim. And he specified during that segment on Fox News that he wasn't an Arab. He didn't say African American. He didn't put no African in that. He didn't want no Middle Eastern, nothing. He didn't want y'all thinking Arabic. He don't care nothing. He didn't want no confusion. He said no. And then he went so far as not just say the Nation of Islam. He mentioned the nation a couple of times, but he specifically said Black American. So we've been covering that slanderous and libelous story. Shout out to the Nation of Islam. Since then, they have issued a cease and desist demand. Yes. So we've been covering that. Well, today I want to remind you of something that took place when Joe Biden first started, made the announcement that he was going to run for president, right? Well, I have been known on other platforms, so I've been covering this, to be honest with you, for some time now. Y'all know I don't play. Of course, we want to cover stuff. We want you to tune in. That's very important because that's what gives us leverage, and we want to impact as many people as possible. But it's equally as important as reaching a large number of people is the quality of what we present and what we're talking about. Yes, so that matters to me. So that's why I discuss certain things that are important to continue to discuss, because something was discussed one time before. No, we got to bring context and connect some dots. Yes. And by the way, family, the powers that shouldn't be expect you to forget all of the news that happens over the years so that you will never connect the dots and hold them accountable for intentionally creating catastrophe in multiple ways. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. Talk black to me, somebody. Well, why am I bringing this up? I want to show you a brief clip. This was kind of a longer podcast between Charlamagne the God, y'all know him from the Breakfast Club, and Angela Rye, formerly Capitol Hill staff. She used to work in Washington, D.C., as well as she was a consistent contributor on CNN News. Yes, both are major figures, both are on major platforms, right? Now, this particular podcast that was done was a separate podcast that they were doing outside of the Breakfast Club, and this was one of those little startup, I think, podcasts that he and Angela Rye were going to do for some time, because I think they did a couple of series on it. I don't know what's going on with it now. So here you see Charlamagne the God. Many of you know him from the Breakfast Club and other platforms, and Angela Rye. Now, I want to show you just a few clips from this longer podcast that was done. And I want to let you know, first of all, that what you're watching has to do with her responding and attacking the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Watch this. After folks like the ADL type individuals were attacking him. That's the context of this conversation. So when you're watching this, keep in mind that Angela Rye decides that she's going to go out there and defend them folks against a black man. So don't you lose sight of that. The whole broadcast has to do, it came about, the impetus for this broadcast and this conversation, the context is that them folks, the ADL types, were attacking Minister Farrakhan. So she came to the rescue. Are y'all hearing me today? So family, put your seatbelts. Y'all know I tell you, somebody put a car in the chat. Somebody put a rocket in the chat. Somebody put a plane in the chat. Somebody put a train in the chat. Somebody put somebody walking in the chat. Why, Vicki? So whatever your mode of transportation, just be safe with what you're getting ready to watch right here. Don't say I didn't warn you, okay? Are y'all ready? Watch this clip.
Like, I'm just not going to be able to support that. I have people in my life who I care deeply about who are Jewish and have ancestors who were tremendously impacted by the Holocaust. We're not going to trick that off and say that that's like, you know, a conspiracy theory. Like, stop. Mm-hmm. You know, like, don't act like Donald Trump, especially when you don't have the power of Donald Trump. Like, it's not doing anything but making people create false equivalencies. But I can't justify some of the stuff he said. I've been to the Million More movement. I've been building with the minister since 2005. The thing I say about the minister is, if you listen to him a lot, he's not attacking all Jewish people. Just like he doesn't attack all black people. He, you know... he also says a lot of stuff that's, like, homophobic. Like, a lot of stuff.
Well, I think a lot of that is old school, just being an older, 80-something-year-old black man.
I guess my thing is, being old doesn't mean that you can be, like, dumb and a bigot. You know, I'm not calling him dumb, but I'm saying you don't have to speak ignorantly because you're old.
But he got his beliefs, though.
If I could have my way, I would ask the minister to dial back some of that rhetoric, because I don't believe he needs to be in the same category as Alex Jones and them.
We can't allow him to be, because one thing that they historically do to our black prominent voices, our prominent black leaders, is vilify them.
But can we also make sure that there are things that would, like, can we not do things that are vilifiable?
See, the reason listen, I get it. I get everything that you're saying.
And I'm saying I really have wrestled with this all weekend. Like, okay, what are the things that they're saying that are legitimate? What are my issues? And my issues are like, are you really about to undermine your entire history because you want to be wedded to these points that aren't even relevant?
I don't think he is. Like, we're not going to let white people undermine the history of Minister Farrakhan.
So can he just stop the other stuff, though?
And we have to be very careful of that, too.
Okay.
When it comes to the media.
Okay.
Because this is the same media who used to call Martin Luther King Jr. the most dangerous man in the world.
No, but I'm saying, I think that it's different, because if you look at what Dr. King said about Jewish people who were allies in the movement, I mean, the ministers even, like, criticized the relationship that the NAACP has with the Jewish community.
I think what you said is true. He overgeneralizes.
Yes,
Jewish
like, just
too much.
stop.
That I agree with.
Just stop. It's not helpful.
Yeah.
In an era where there is an increasing divide between all these cultures, where if we really came together, we'd be more powerful. Just stop. That's all I'm saying. Can you just stop? And can you acknowledge that in the past you've overgeneralized? It's not helpful, and you're willing to take some of this stuff down.
Because I've heard him say, like, Jewish people come to listen to the minister speak.
Yeah.
Like, he talks about his Jewish allies, but he really does separate it where he says wicked Jewish people and good Jewish people. Same thing he does with black people. But I look at the minister the same way I look at any of these people. If I can bypass everything Joe Biden's done and said to say I will still vote for him if he's in the general election.
I think that I can do that, but I need him to acknowledge that some of the stuff he's said has been hurtful. And it's not good.
Has Biden done that for black people?
I think he's tried. I think he's done that in some ways. I don't know if he's done it sufficiently.
Like I got like what he said on the Senate when he talked about he doesn't care about the system that created these predators. They'll kill your mom. They'll kill my mom. Yeah. People that look like me. People that look like you.
If he hasn't apologized for that, he should. If what else did he do? The school busing stuff. He said some really offensive stuff about school busing. He needs to apologize for all of it. This is not just about Louis Farrakhan needs to walk things back more than white people. Nah, I expect the same thing from everybody. But I'm saying, just like we know, we have to be twice as good, work 3 times as hard, and probably apologize 5 times as much. I want him to meet that standard. Well, I do not want his credibility or history undermined because of some offhanded, salacious, off-the-cuff remarks that don't have anything to do with what he's trying to build.
White people will undermine his history regardless.
But I'm saying, at least don't work with them on that. Just undo some of the stuff that's not necessary. Anyway, if I could talk to him, that's what I would say.
What if he's not sorry?
Then I can't support it. Then I can't support it.
I just can't stop shaking my head. I just can't stop shaking my head. I just can't. I just can't stop. Don't say I didn't warn you. Now you see why I told y'all to buckle up. Now you see whether I told you you're going out of space with your rocket ships in the chat, whether you're walking as a pedestrian, make sure you look both ways 2, 3, 4 times. I forgot to tell you to put a bike in the chat, whether you took a train or a plane. Now you understand why I said make sure you buckle up. These bones and biscuits, these bootleg types, these bootlick types, these Aunt Jemima types, they are out of control. Now, keep that in mind that she was defending Joe Biden running for office in this context, right? Now y'all see why she always crying and breaking down? Something is really, really, really wrong with her. Don't tell me nothing. So don't y'all come for me and talking about why you always attacking your own, Vicki? No! What you mean my own? No, she's not my own. What are you talking about my own? There are black people, and then there's a category of black looking people. How many of you all know that no military and no nation goes to war often without trying to get as much information and intelligence as possible? So what do? They send saboteurs, they send spies into other countries and into other regions in order to gain intelligence, right? How many of y'all know that you're not getting ready to be sending somebody that don't blend in with the population and the society? You're not going to have somebody that looks like a sore thumb. Talk black to me, somebody. So when you act like you don't understand that they're going to have somebody that's looking like us among us to keep us off. Do you understand? I want you to pay attention to the language, and then I also want you to pay attention to the energy. Now, Charlamagne the God is nothing but a big tool. He get on my nerves. But in the clips that you saw, he did try to push back against her extremism. Like she wasn't even trying to cover up. She was so oblivious to her own hypocrisy. She didn't realize just how much of a cheerleader and how vociferously she was cheerleading for white supremacists, all but a Ku Klux Klan wizard, tantamount to a Ku Klux Klan wizard, Joe Biden, and attacking willfully and deeply with name calling the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Now, I wanted to talk to you about this, family, based on what's happening in the news now. Why am I bringing this up? And what points am I getting ready to make? Family, make sure that you hit that thumbs up button and share. Maybe at the end, I'll be able to see some of your names in the chat, but I don't have time to look at it right now because I want to get to where I'm going quickly. We've been discussing the fact that Fox News is in big trouble with the Nation of Islam, and the Nation of Islam filed a cease and desist recently, right? Telling them to stop lying. But why did the Lily White network, why did the corporate oppressive networks of Fox News and their affiliates feel so comfortable doing what they did to the Nation of Islam? Don't you all understand how black looking people create the environment to make them feel comfortable, knowing that some of us are just going to sit back and just let them do it? I'm trying to explain to you, these are the types of media encounters. These are the types of conversations and interviews. These are the types of things that are put out there in the ecosystem against our own, with so-called Black people, that set the stage for us to be targets. That's the reason why our work has to always be amongst us first. We can't just sit up here and talk about these white people all the time. It's not just them folks, is my point. What's the difference between the slander of Angela Rye, and many, many, many others have done that, and what Fox News did recently? Of course, we know they have power in terms of the corporate system and the outlets to do it and access around the world. I don't mean in that way. That makes them systematically and institutionally more powerful, obviously. But I'm just saying the essence of what she did is equal to exactly what they were doing. Yes. Listen to the language. This woman tried to destroy his career by saying, don't trick off your legacy. I just showed you the one time that she used the word trick. Do you all understand that? Do you all understand that trick off your legacy? When you're saying trick off your legacy, the way in which she used the word trick, because there are different ways to use that word for my family that's watching us from around the world. That's in a prostitution street sense in so many words. That's what she was equating his work to. And then she said, by him being some 80-some-year-old man, now he's in his 90s, she said, that doesn't mean you get to be dumb and a bigot. And when she realized the words that came out of her mouth, and she realized that she just said it, she tried to pull back from it a little bit, but you heard it with your own ears that she used the phrase dumb and a bigot. And then when Charlamagne, the guy who's normally a tool for white supremacy, when he was trying to let her know, girl, you really out there with this, when he tried to pull it back a little bit and tell her, well, what about all the stuff that Joe Biden said? Did y'all hear him say that? When he sat up there and it was like, whoa, wait a minute now. Joe Biden has said some racist stuff. And he said, now, if I'm, and Charlamagne said, and if I can put that aside and still vote for him. Did y'all see how she said she tried to pat white supremacists? She just tried to pat the little white supremacists on the chest. Y'all see how she tried to defend him and nurture his legacy? Did you hear when she said, well, I don't think he really meant it like that? Talking about Joe Biden. And then she said, well, I think he did apologize for some of what he said, but maybe not sufficient. Do you all see just the energy shift? And she only even addressed that hypocrisy when she was called out on it. That's why some of you Democrats get on my nerves. Because see, when you label yourself a Republican or Democrat over being Black first, that's what we talk about B1. Whenever you hear us talk about B1, B1 means Black first. See, when you embrace your religious labels, your political labels, your socioeconomic labels over your people group labels, you will justify one white supremacist over another. You will sit there and say you cried for days and didn't get out of bed because of something Trump said. But you'll go cheerlead for Joe Biden. Do y'all understand that? Do you see how crazy that is? Do you catch how something is the matter with you when you can justify a blatant and outrageous and direct white supremacist who eulogize a literal former Ku Klux Klan, former Senator Byrd? Look it up. Joe Biden said he not only eulogized him, he said that was one of his mentors. How many of y'all know that Joe Biden got a couple of other bona fide certified white supremacist mentors? You all just let it fly that Joe Biden was the mastermind behind one of the strongest pieces of legislation that ever passed by the bipartisan Congress that's responsible for a lot of the destruction and the undoing of the Black family for at least 2 generations. Y'all just be like, oh, okay. That's okay. Joe Biden disrespected Obama and was shocked that he was an intelligent and articulate Black man. Charlamagne the God brought that up in that segment. They brought up other statements that he made. Yes? They brought up other statements that he made. Are y'all listening? About basically equating black folks to jungles and animals and so forth. Yes. Back in the day when he was all for busing. Y'all not hearing me today? What's wrong with y'all? This is what makes you disgusting to us. Yes? Are y'all hearing me? We got to discuss that. We got to talk about that. Something is the matter with you when you can justify one white supremacist over the other. And the only reason why you're doing it is because you put your political status above the status of being black first. And that is the absolute danger of you associating yourself with that over another. And that means that if you can justify the white supremacy of one over another, that means that you're not concerned about the development and the black empowerment and the ultimate freedom of your own people. I'm trying to show you all that the stage that has been set for our open enemies to come against us is because of folks just like her. And she literally said, don't trick off your legacy for this. She was literally defending a white supremacy over the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan. She literally referred to him as dumb and a bigot. Y'all heard it yourself. Family. She went on when he called her out on it and said, well, they call him anti this and anti that. They say he's this and that. He said, no. He even said, a lot of Jewish people love Minister Farrakhan. He said he told Charlamagne told her they come to his lectures. She didn't know what to say when a lot of them love him. They listen to him. They appreciate the minister. He said he don't be going off on every one of them. Guess what Angela did? Did y'all see how she deflected and tried to say he homophobic? Did y'all see that? When he called her out on trying to label him with lies, she turned around and went to another subject and started lying some more. And then when he said, well, a lot of different people from different religions have certain beliefs that's based off of what their sacred books say and so forth. Of course, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but that's the gist of what he was saying. She said, but he took it too far though. But still, I just need him to pull back though. Family, something is very wrong. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because I want you all to know that it's a new day. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want to show you what precedes what took place even with Fox News and what makes them feel real comfortable because we're not on code like we're supposed to be. And I'm trying to show you what's still at work today. Don't you let folks get away with such things. And I'm not talking about being inappropriate in how we address this. What I'm saying is we will not let it slide for folks to tell such consequential lies and put out misinformation without us correcting the record. How many of you all know that when we allow certain narratives to be sustained, those mindsets are what go behind closed doors when the juries are deliberating and then they are making decisions against you? Those are the mindsets that permeate throughout society that go into policies, rules, and regulations in every sphere of people activity. That would include what? The Wall Street's economic, that includes the military, that includes law and order. Yes? I wanted to let you all know that this is real stuff. And we got real enemies, not just from without Fox News. And we're going to hold you accountable. But we want to let the folks on the inside know you're not going to get away with it either. And I wanted to show you all how she was willing to put in power a man that is responsible for not only warfare in the Middle East and the undoing of masses of innocent people, but don't forget he's responsible for that domestic war right here in the United States against foundational Black Americans. Don't forget it. Beloved, my name is Vicki Dillard. Thank you so much for tuning in to African Diaspora News Channel. Don't forget that you can watch me here live Tuesday through Thursdays. Yes, Tuesday through Thursdays, 2 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to tune in tonight too. Brother Phil Scott, the founder of this wonderful network, is going to be on live and direct at 8 p.m. Eastern. And family, mark your calendars for Sunday, January 26th. Sunday, January 26th. Save your seat. Go to my website at VickiPlanet.com. I'm going to be talking about the very forces that were at work in the domestic terrorist attack that took place here recently in New Orleans, Louisiana, and Las Vegas. They said it was ISIS inspired, right? We're used to hearing about ISIS across the water, right? In the Middle East. We're used to hearing about offshoots of ISIS in certain African countries and stuff like that, called Al-Shabaab and others that are similarly situated, right? What if the forces that's behind the attack on the United States recently is the same one that's at work in the world geopolitically? I'm going to break it down like nobody can. That's the hidden knowledge for real. Save your free seat today. Go to my website at VickiPlanet.com, VickiPlanet.com. I'll be breaking it down, the American witchcraft. And it's not the ancestral one, baby. You don't want to miss it. Share this broadcast. I can't wait